As we all look at the very same world, we see the cracks appearing. Now, some people see different cracks than other people, but we all can agree that the fact is that the system of the Western governments, particularly the United States, are flawed. Are not only the government, but the financial sectors, the businesses, everything is so ripe and filled with corruption and all sorts of major issues that we are facing and experiencing every day. So the question is, how much longer do we have? How much longer until this whole thing collapses, like one big house of cards? Now, in preparedness channels, prepper channels, there's a lot of talk about that everything is moving towards us seeing this whole thing come crashing down. That one system is reliant upon other systems, that when you lose power, you lose natural gas stops getting pumped. And when the natural gas stops getting pumped by electricity, that means that power plants can't power anything. So when the power goes out, it makes it very difficult for the power to come back on because the power plants don't have any fuel to burn. And so you make this system that not only starts collapsing one after the next, one domino hits the next, but on the other hand, trying to restack all those dominoes becomes very difficult because the chaotic situation that you have. That you don't have the capability to bring workers in from another state because those workers can't drive because they can't get gas for the vehicles. Why can't they get gas for the vehicles? We can't pump the gas out of the tanks underneath the gas stations because they don't have electricity. So the power crews trying to go to another state to fix the power can't get there because they can't get gas. Stuff like that. When we see that the whole system is one big house of cards, that if it starts to collapse and it collapses beyond a certain point, can it really be rebuilt? Or if it can, how long will it take? Now we see situations like hurricanes come and hit the south of the United States, and it creates a relatively large swath of destruction. But then linemen and workers from all over the United States come riding in like the cavalry, and they come in and they start setting up the poles again. They start rewiring things, and the water workers come in and help the plants down south get ready to go and get them pumping clean water in those pipes again. And so we see that, and I think we've been inoculated with that, like, well, that's normal. But what happens when you have much more wide-scale destruction, and you don't have workers from other regions that can come in to help? What happens if we're all the region that needs help? Where are the workers going to come from then? So we're going to talk about how far out a systemic collapse could be. And one of the biggest systemic collapses is World War III. As I am prone to say, how long into World War III do you think the internet is going to be functioning? How long into World War III do you really think there's going to be electricity? And the answer should be not very long. China has been trying to hack our infrastructure for decades now. They've been burrowing into our systems so that they can flip the light switch off when they want to on the United States. They don't need to use a high-altitude nuclear weapon to generate an EMP pulse to knock out the United States. They can just go into the systems and just flip them off digitally. And that's a situation where we're at. But they obviously have EMP capability. Many countries do now. Russia has it. China has it. Allegedly North Korea has it. And Iran potentially has it as well. It's said that they are close to having their own nuclear weapon, which really paints the whole conflict in the Middle East in a very different light, doesn't it? But with all of that said, World War III would be a catastrophic extinction level event for the United States. Because when you're the target that everybody's shooting at, some stuff's going to get through. No matter how good you are at dodging, no matter how good you are at protecting yourself, The simple fact is that if everyone is trying to bring the United States to its knees, that can happen. Everyone has been structuring their militaries for the past, 70 years to take down the United States. All the enemies of the United States, they've been preparing. Who do you think Russia has built their military to oppose? The United States. They've been developing weapons in order to counter the United States. China has been building weapons to counter the United States as well. And so everything is designed to go against us. World War III will not be a pushover for the United States. The United States will struggle if it doesn't get defeated very quickly. Number two, not only World War III, but banking crisis. World War III could break out literally any week. The answer to when or how much time do we have is months, maybe. Probably not years. Probably in a matter of months. How many months? I don't know. Now, things are good right now. Now, it may not seem good to you. Things may be much, much harder this year than they were last year for you. Some people, this year has been so ridiculously hard so far. But if a systemic collapse happens, it's going to get a lot harder. And I know some of you are like, you got your food preps, you got your plans on what you're going to do about everything and everything like that, and you're almost kind of chomping at the bit like, yeah, bring it on. No, friends, you don't want to come on. I've been working at getting my house a little bit off-grid electric-wise, and I still like the idea of having the electric grid as backup because my solar unit isn't keeping up with all the needs I have for the house. It's nice having the grid up. It's nice being able to go out to eat. It's nice to be able to go to the store and just get fresh vegetables and everything like that I didn't have to grow myself. Friends, it's nice having the grid up. When the grid comes down, not only is it going to be more inconvenient for us who are prepared, it's going to be downright nasty to those who haven't prepared. Right now, you can go down and you can go pick up a 20-pound bag of rice and a 20-pound bag of beans for like what, $30? You really should have two 20-pound bags of rice and one 20-pound bag of beans, right? You want to get 2 to 1. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so you're looking at like, $40 for that. And so that is basically enough food. I didn't do the math in my head. What is that? The 40, 60. That's more than enough food for one adult person per day for a month, right? For $40. Food for a month for a person. Now, most of us have a higher food budget than $40 per person, regular times, but that's an opportunity that we have right now. You can go to Walmart and get those prices right now. When the grid comes down, do you know how hard it's going to be to produce 1 month's worth of food for an adult? It's going to be very, very difficult. Okay, so we got World War III. We got collapse of the infrastructure that could be related to hacking attempts or probably malicious, right? We have our banking crisis. We have financial stuff that's happening in Wall Street, the subprime debt, subprime auto debt. We have people who are borrowing $40,000 on a $30,000 car. If that made sense to you, you clearly misinterpreted or misunderstood what I just said. People are borrowing $40,000, $50,000 on a $30,000 brand new car. As soon as it drives off the lot, it loses a percentage of that value. But the fact that they're borrowing more money than the car is worth at very high interest rates, and usually it's because they owed money on their previous car that they traded in. This is the type of situation where we're seeing all the time. Subprime auto loans. Now, it's a relatively small market compared to mortgages and commercial real estate, but commercial real estate is in a very similar situation where lots of money is owed, but the buildings have become worth a lot less. There's a lot of companies and banks that are underwater on their loans on these office buildings that nobody's going to anymore. These downtown office buildings are not worth what they once were. And we're starting to see them liquidated at 50% or less value than what is on the books, right? And not only that, but we also have not just banking crisis and financial markets, but we have government issues, right? When we look at how much is owed by the government debt-wise, we're now looking at $1 billion, these numbers are big, $1 trillion added every 100 days or so. That's the new normal. How long until it's $1 trillion every 30 days or so? The inflation spiral is going to ramp up like you haven't seen because we're spending so much money, a ridiculous amount of money, in a mind-boggling amount of money. To lose $3 trillion in 1 year? I mean, when you start having a deficit that's starting to rival the size of a lot of nations' economies, like major economies. The United States economy, I mean, we're talking over 10% of the United States economy is a deficit. We're borrowing that much money. And as interest rates go up on all of our debt, we're going to start seeing some absolutely insane, the fact that we're spending more on our interest right now as a nation than we are on our national defense should say all that I need to say. So our debt crisis, when's that going to blow up? When is everyone going to be like, hey, maybe we should stop loaning money to the United States government because that's not a good idea anymore? What about this political divide that is in our country? Like, it's interesting turning on the television or, well, I don't really do that, but, watching clips of it on YouTube or somewhere else, watching these comedians and these entertainers and seeing how they hate me. It's not like they disagree with me, it's they hate me. They viscerally despise me. They despise, not like me personally, but like us and our values. Like anyone who disagrees with them politically, like they're calling for imprisonment or worse for anyone who disagrees with them on certain topics. Talking about people who want ill will for you, what about the rampant crime across the country? We're seeing crime, and we're talking about crimes that we haven't seen in a very long time. Like brutal crimes against people that the person doesn't even know. And you go, well, let me pull up the stats. Friends, when crimes aren't being reported by the police, which we're seeing that happening more and more. If somebody is undocumented, well, then the crime doesn't get reported. When certain crimes happen, well, they're just not reported. By just not reporting the crimes doesn't mean the crimes don't exist or that the crimes haven't happened. The crimes have happened, and people are suffering because of them. The policing trends and the reporting standards, we've been hearing new reports out there now that many of the crimes that are being committed by people who have come into this country through less than legal means, their crimes are being marked as white crimes now. That they're classifying them as, by their skin color, conveniently for politics. And so, even though they may only speak Spanish or Portuguese, they are being classified as white for crime purposes. We've seen this before, right? Where it's all about shaping the narrative. It's not about reporting crime. It's not about actually fixing crime. It's about shaping the narrative. And that leads us straight into the whole border crisis. How many more months can we take of this invasion before this brings the United States to its knees? There are so many different things that are happening in the United States that are degrading our society significantly in our resources, in our ability to help people financially. We've seen places like Colorado and New York and San Francisco and these other places making serious choices about handing out thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to people from other countries while cutting services and assistance to those who were born in this country. These are situations that are very real. And as I say these things, I'm sure I'm not saying anything that you're like, oh, that's new. Where did that come from? I hadn't heard about that before. You've probably heard about all of these things before. But all it takes is one thing to take us to the point where collapse starts. And then we're going to see everything kind of start falling down. Whether it's sparking a civil war or whether it's World War III. Or whether it's an infrastructure collapse by a cyber attack or an EMP. Or just World War III in general. We are looking at months, friends, not years. The fall of the United States is not years out. And I think that when it happens, it's going to catch everyone by surprise. And by necessity, some of these things that are about to happen, the countries that are going to do them to us do not want us knowing that it's coming before it happens. Lest we actually protect ourselves, lest we actually move to stop them or to even strike back at them. The surprise attacks that are possible in this day and age where you can fire a missile from anywhere on the planet and have it land anywhere else on the planet. We have missile systems that are embedded, can be embedded onto cargo ships. We have all sorts of biological weapons that have been tested and used and escaped from things. Serious threats. Cyber attacks. And just the list goes on and on. People, the government will not take care of you. You're going to have to take care of yourself. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, then you need to become self-sufficient. And you probably get the gist of it, and I've said it openly several times here. I don't think self-sufficiency is the way forward for most people. I think stocking up is going to really get you through that first wave, and society will be so changed by that point that you'll figure things out. But you're going to need to get over the first extinction event. And a lot of you probably feel uncomfortable that I'm talking about such things like that. But society and history has shown us many such events before. What the UK and England went through during World War II, what France went through during World War II, what Germany went through in World War II, what many countries went through. And we're not talking about the distant past. We're talking 80 years ago. 80 years ago, the world was completely changed. And here we are again at another turning point in history. And if you think that this is going to be any easier than it was 80 years ago, if you think it's going to be easier than the Civil War was in the United States or World War I, the whole planet is about to be reshaped again. And when that happens, it's going to be very rough on everybody, but it's going to be particularly rough on the empire that rules the world, which is the United States. All right, friends, that's my take on things. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.